안에 다들인데 보도에 계시 보도에 실업증명이 엔트리마도 쉬어요.
This morning, we will continue with the teachings on Potowa's long soliloquy.
다들이야 다다 가장님 초주는 쉬나 tenan tsendira lo lobo de nyor du chanju sabar kere wa mambar du de tera tsendi bar songam nyam ngala ne tunup shine chizu che nyam ne sambeji gi duma temba ya ma jung de chui gi ne tham je tene ko gomja ge te khona chawar chung xian la ya tizu yue do nyam ne khong la xebe nga khong nga da samba thumba zam ma jung.
To continue where we left off yesterday, in the third paragraph from the bottom of page 3 in the English, thus there are few who have turned their minds away from this life. Many say they are bodhisattvas, but I wonder whether they are focused on this life. I think about what I would do if I were to die tonight and have never considered any ambitions for tomorrow and thereafter. Because of that, I have understood the critical points of Dharma. That alone is the greatest sustenance for meditation. I have thought it would be so for others too, but when I tell them, their attitudes have never been compatible with mine.
네 페이지 가자. 페이지도 다 있으면다. 어디에도 돼도. 다들 인주스 안에 단 딜레야 가르친 거라서나 가장 쉬운 신기 아니 보도와 코랑기 근데 최나지마도 뭐시비비냐 탐제 녀몽의 딩도 되네 북네 녀몽이 냠으로 좋아시 또 제발 마도베기 아니 최디베 카시에 잠나 샤메스 또 소예브레.
Now here what Potowa is saying is, as I mentioned yesterday, that Potowa himself, even if he only knew a single Dharma, took all of the Dharma that he knew and he heaped it upon the afflictions so that it would become an antidote for the afflictions. It does not help to merely speak of or do the Dharma with your mouth.
세상 나란쪽이 최 셰베 미베 최 셰셰베 양 미베 최데 귤레 저르셰베 고레스 최 귤레 저르셰베 고아드 가레사나 최네 송반난신 랑다르체야 최네 송반난신 미지나로라 응어스 라렌샤 데임바레스.
So it does not help us to know the Dharma. It does not help us to, it does not help us to merely know the Dharma. It does not help us to merely know how to teach the Dharma. We need to be able to incorporate the Dharma into our beings. So what does incorporating the Dharma into our beings mean? It means being able to practice the Dharma as it is taught. It means being able to actually apply it in this life.
다들라 이나다 dinsan 카시기 어래 다들 시에 먹어지 다들 마아지 당운에 전에기 천삼데 거와토도스나 내토도시 다 대랑 아, 전삼대 다다 초마조기 토발라 큐기 태야 중잡아 인생 견대버도디 대내 신규베네 마인발라 겨바 개바 나부 취지 마인남 신기 개와체발라 제수 이랑와 체나 개와체 토벌 돈에 숭도바데 마고와 다지 전삼디 초조마서 사야 되려야 투디에 그래샤 제가 가장
So now we are coming up to the point where we left off last year. The text reads, "They worry about me, and I get discouraged about them." Generally, if you do not have some conviction, even knowing a lot of Dharma will not help. There are those who worry that I won't perfect the accumulations and say, "Aren't you being a bit extreme?" to make me regret it. Isn't that one of the black dharmas, making someone regret something they should not regret? The sutras say that if you rejoice in the virtue another has done, you gain half of the virtue. Do they not understand it? So the place where we actually left off last year is the line, "They worry that I won't perfect the accumulations."
다들이야. 다들만 디슬로나 가서. 되게 지금 콩라라 나래 큐라 녀발로바미 샤사는 전제베 인세데 샤사에 칸에 닝덤 텐저 중앙 이무바이 코란라 삼바 텔레메베 따이 대랑 원사도 템바이 대랑 코안에 찜메터도 기세완도베 샤사와 이야 대랑 미니 다데임자.
And to continue reading, when I say that, some say, "We are not saying you are wrong. We are giving you advice from concern." It depresses me that concerned people give such advice. It is evidence that they have no other thought than that. I find it astounding. In actuality, they are saying, "Do whatever you can to not be liberated from samsara. Even if they are concerned, I will not listen."
단들이야. 다다 초조기. 다다 어디서 로샤 가서. 네. 다 검제 상부 인세와다. 최망부 시비 기준 인세와 라라. 현재슈 라라다 루규 시비 삼바튠바점 마존니. 링라 샤페바점 동니 만되네. 나게 찌가가 시당. 최바 상부 인세와 소양 응라 천디 도게 셴라라 말레바지 사라 천디라 또 밀레미사 쳬라 미자워 쳬라 테네 유 상부지도 디소메베 공바지도 데라 게줄 뚜브세 차 냐발레 천디 지주 송 냐베 최바레 레samne 민두.
To continue reading, I have made Dharma connections with some who are said to be great meditators or venerable scholars with great knowledge of the Dharma. With some of them, when we tell each other our stories, our attitudes have not been at all compatible. I felt no desire to converse freely with them and let them prattle on as they wish. Even those said to be good practitioners gather enough food and clothing so that they will not depend on anyone else, saying, "I don't want to depend on anyone for food in this life." They think they will go stay in a monastery in some fine valley where there's no need to accumulate misdeeds and do as much spiritual practice as they can. There are no more than just 1 or 2 practitioners who think, let this life turn out as it will.
단도나 다 공도 수만의 신기 다 팀상 ene sendil lo ne somarme daji sendil ya be sheba lo bodinde nyu shirados 전주 임 서버 인생에 망보시라dos.
As we just said, there are very few who turn their minds away from this life. There are very few who feel revulsion for this life, and yet there are many who say that they are bodhisattvas.
Daddy, Tada Tamjiga, Sendivam, Sendilaji, Shembajanji, Chadidos, Sendi. Karasana Sendi, Niera, the Shido, Chanju Samba Yins, Kela Shabachireshas.
And yet all of these people are focused on this life. They are attached to this life. And the reason is because they say, I am a bodhisattva in order to become well known in this life.
Sendira Shemba Lona, Chanju Samba Yimik, Ina Yin, Mina Mi Sambaruchi, Karichuna Chung Sambaruchi, Takandar Lodewa, Jigdang. Da karşıya tesumeye varıcı tilici gurez.
That if we block our attachment to this life, if we have no attachment to this life, then whether we are bodhisattvas or not, whatever happens in this life, we will have a comfortable mind. We should be like this and have no doubts.
다지 가르쳐서는 미신다 천주선바 레스 말음네 수술 개봐요 매버치 don't care somewhere 텔레야 지고 천주선바 레스 미신다 랍된다 천주선바 뭐 말레스 랍된다 개봐 매봐 지가 강가라 파 땅샤버치 고레스.
And so what this is saying is that we should not care at all whether other people think we are bodhisattvas or not. Whether they say we are bodhisattvas or not, we shouldn't care about it. It should make no difference to us.
nga Potowa ne bena tunu bena dogon gonda shina tanga 가르쳐오래 삼네 당에 지타 강타 삼네 데네베 대 셈들 제바 마도베기 상편식이 선이 편식이 난 뉴맘 쳇시 샤 정규민도스.
So Potowa is saying that when he goes to bed at night, he thinks, what if I die tonight? What would I do then? And so he does not think beyond that. He does not think of what will happen tomorrow or thereafter. He has no intentions or plans for that time.
아니 미신다래 나랑 나 신기 소암 드제기 냠뇨 유기레 삼네 미신다래야 수수기 삼반난신 계제 셰비스.
And he has spoken with other people thinking, They probably have had similar experience or similar feelings as he have had.
콩그 삼단단다 녜 삼단단 저민도스.
But their attitudes and his attitude have not matched.
구주 가르선도스나 오 다데 교랑기 베선이 펜세기 베체시 진짜 마제미치 진짜 잖아 자원이는 저거 말했어 진짜 잖아 교랑 무기시게 됐어 똑지시게 됐어 다 진짜 자데 야보자나 말했어 랑게 망보죠.
What the other people say is they say, you will die if you don't make any plans for tomorrow or the future. That's not okay at all. You will die of hunger. You will die in desperate circumstances. It's not okay at all, they say.
Today in the Koyang Hala be Shambalon. Oh, Midil Chosan Mindu Sambaravichan, Shambalosons. Ngayang Kola Yimukesons, Yang Ninji Kesons.
And so they feel revulsion for me, and for them, I feel depressed. I feel pity or compassion for them.
Dona, Narandu Semdi, Kanangdo Chone, Be Susul Dingsuji, Mani Pardo, the Kutix Bizanda, so the Dingsuji, sometimes Durba, Dingsuji, Mani Pardo, Gomse Sambo Imbe, Pengimindu. 최시의 개배 penguins.
So until we turn our minds inwards, so we need to turn our minds inwards and find some conviction within ourselves. Some conviction here also means some belief or some confidence. Until we know that, knowing how to do a lot of meditation does not benefit us. Knowing how to teach a lot of Dharma does not help.
Similar Dingsu Kandiji Tsu Govina, Dingsu Kandish Nye Govina, 10 years Chavalia Dujegi Shatamje, Midaba Yimbala, Midaba Yimba, Motacha, Kandish Gores.
The way that we need to find such conviction within ourselves, in the way we need to establish that or find that conviction within ourselves, is that we need to truly recognize and believe that all composite phenomena are impermanent. And in addition to that, we also need to truly recognize and resolve that this life is futile.
Today I'm Mimangbuchigi, Tanga Potowa. Oh, that Chorangi be church and the days, shoe chetados. But look down channels. The day Chabina, Choram but Jangbuchan, Sunny, Mashikone, Rod, Karmashikone, Chada Kitties with Sandrosaris. Lagudos.
And so what many people say to Potowa is, the way you practice Dharma is just too extreme. You've given up too much about this life. What's going to happen is that you'll turn into a beggar and all the dogs and vultures will eat you before you even die.
Gyobakke marongale gyobakke chubati nabu shoshi nangi kashrota chirajires.
And so what they're trying to do is make me regret the way I practice. And so, but if they do this, this is trying to make me regret something, or make Potowa regret something that he should not actually regret, that it is not worthy or that does not deserve being regretted. And making someone regret something that they should not regret is one of the four black dharmas, that is a downfall of the Bodhisattva vows. So this making someone regret something that should not be regretted is one of these four black dharmas.
수수기劝谢받는 시 라렌 따르투고 매비네 미신劝谢받는 시 라렌 땅겐 디솔라 제수 이랑와 차나 르그라바스 도나로라 상게기 제수 이랑와 체베나 개와 냠밤 개와 차가 토구에 송도와스 그래서 되게랑 좀 마고버베스
Even if you cannot practice Dharma the way it is taught in the Dharma texts yourself, when you see someone else practicing in that way, wouldn't it be best to rejoice? This is because it is said in the sutras that when you rejoice in the merit of a Buddha, then you receive equal merit or half of the merit. And this is a sign that such people do not understand this.
Potowa 장부차네 다부 양에 매베시네 머시고네 차다 키디조 세서나 나라라 고야 다가라 인스.
So Potowa is saying, if I, Potowa, become a beggar and have no one to take care of me before I die, if the birds and the dogs eat me, isn't that exactly what I need?
당에 드레스 고졸이야 보도에게 니다 고졸이야 드레스 레드스 다 고졸 알수 가려고 뒀어 다 저랑 그제 드레시기요 말했어 아주 저랑 샤차네 그제 시가 알았어 샤차체 저랑 오늘 심구르체 그제 시가 알았어 드레 심구르체 아주 삼자 시가 알았어 저랑 드레시기요.
And so when I, Potowa, speak like this, then what other people say to me, Potowa, is they say, oh, you shouldn't speak like that. We are concerned for you. We're being concerned. We have affection for you. We're trying to give you advice out of concern.
ngala shasa yungen dizugi khanen tamngi tindeji shonde ngabe samphamsos.
And when those who are concerned about me, Potowa, speak in such a way, then I get very, very disappointed.
Korangi samlue naloleya samba tindeji mado mebe ta tongo dos. Karresana Korang tsendili shembayo che tsi chimali saadile be kaso tsendili shembayo deba. Ani ji tsendi ki togo tamsu dileya ji shembayo deba tinde ka ta tongo dos. Tinde Ani already. Chanda dodo ne kar lagu oresana Korang koale mitaria tabshi jida kantra keys lagu arresta. Today in Hindustan, this Shatsawa in a digital Yendusa Maris.
And so what this shows is this is evidence that they have no other thought than this. It's evidence that they are attached to this life and they aren't thinking about the future lives. It shows that they're attached to this life and they're attached to the food, clothing, and talk of this life. What they're saying in actuality, to boil it down, what they're saying in actuality is they're saying, do whatever you can to not get liberated from samsara. And so even if they are concerned about me, I can't listen to them.
곰진 인생게 다가는 최망부 시에 개발 인생게 가시지다 아주 최근 내가 총송 안디주다 계제 시에베 계제 시시시시되네 아주 삼바 둥구민도스 삼로 땅다 저민도스 삼로 땅다 만자도 당보다 최기 벨담 배 최기 계자 배 링롱 야보지 제거 삼송 훌루지 제가 삼성데 다 고주당 아주 삼당당 만라인도 다 깨지신 되면도 최기 가서 루린 친인 되마서 제가 깨자 간텐데 건주문주 배 많다주谢下意思
And so, because of this, I, Potowa, have occasionally made Dharma connections with people who are said to be great meditators in this life, or who are said to be very learned about many aspects of the Dharma. And so, when I have had conversations with them, it's often turned out that our attitudes, our ways of thinking have not been at all compatible, they haven't matched. At first, I had the wish that we'd sit down and have a discussion about the Dharma, a good frank talk about the Dharma, that we could relax and listen and speak about the Dharma. But when we speak with them, then I find that our attitudes are not at all compatible, and I've had actually no desire to speak with them about the Dharma, Potowa says. And so because of having no desire about them, to do that, I let them prattle on as they wish. I let them say as much as they want and whatever they wish.
다 등산 최바 야보래 최냠래 챙기 배 쩌러래 생게도 가르쳐도 주잖아. 응을래야 천디기 가서 또접 현라 라마루바 라완두바시 제네스 다들 가르쳐 오르스나 지 녜래야 또고디 배 지가서 현라 레마고 바 수수기 배 탑시 체시 또고디 현라 배 레마고 지체 다 세계 현라 처음고 수수 배 싸안 세계도 현라 배 저와자 먹어지 수수기 배 차체 테네 다 룽바야 보지 세두선 다저 룽바 내 상보지 다 가서래 진리지리야 공바지리야 대네 다 계절이야 보지 냠내야 보지 삼den게 망보도스 삼바 정도 마세베기 딜라렌 챙게 망보도스
So these days, there are people who are considered to be good Dharma practitioners. And so what do such people do? Well, what they do is first they try to gather enough food and clothing so that they will not depend upon anyone else. So the first thing they do is they try to become independent with their food and clothing. They first try to gather it, so later they won't have to look for it from anyone else. They gather other supplies, so they will not depend upon anyone else. They collect everything, and then they think they'll collect everything, and then go to some nice valley, some beautiful site, go to some monastery where they can then engage in spiritual practice. There are many who think in that way, and there are also many who practice in that way.
다 또 접스두산은 또 스두산 칼라로와 접스두산은 괴르서 봐. 당도나 또고 신라 라마루바지 영화 탑시 장가 제네 텔라 미즈게로도스.
So here, food and clothing, they do all they can, they do various things in order to get their food and clothing from others, and they end up spending their entire life doing this.
다 가레나레 개바민두 상경기 최천기 순도스 민도스.
And so who is it? What Dharma practitioners actually think, well, whatever happens, happens. Let it be as it is. It doesn't matter. Who is there? There's no one like that.
배낭 아주 로 응업주 탐바 토베 왕도 제베이나 토베 왕도 제베이나 로 니주 장안에 니게 나라 안 주거든요.
For example, if we were to live for 50 years, we would spend 25 of those asleep.
Tene lama nishu tsenga tela lo nishu masin padone ane ji karsho ngele ji soso sambe masin besena rando ji soso gi karsho da ji mature somra da ji soso be salon ya bo ala lo nishu pado pa ji salon ya bo ala ngor.
And so of the remaining 25 years, then until you're 20 years old, you're probably not mature enough to practice like that. It takes 20 years to become mature enough.
Da longa madalhamason, sambe simba, salon chwe jera longa madalham. Da longa di shijeji longa na shijeti paji segomgi chawam daji be 도구기 체도 주주도 zordo.
And so then there are only 5 years left after we have reached maturity, after our minds have sufficiently developed and we have reached maturity. There are only 5 years left. And we spend a quarter of those 5 years looking for food and clothing.
Tene da chue chenayanra, jigden chenayanra, longye genangi shija.
And so of the remaining 5 years, we only have 3/4 of that time to either practice the Dharma or to do worldly things.
용고 말했어. 네가 탈침바지 용도고 말했어.
And of the remaining 3/4 of that time, then if we think that first we are going to accomplish all we need for this life, and then we will accomplish everything we need for the next life, that's not going to work. There's not enough time to accomplish everything for both this life and the next.
다이나 셀르 마통바 셀르 땅 모토베기 데네 미디즈기 가르쳐드렸어. 오 단디 나 개가 베 시가 개가 펜토그레스라네 다단에 베 사데도스 동의 정지 사번은 시 사데도스.
But those people who haven't turned their minds away from this life, what they do is they think to themselves, oh, I need to have something that will benefit me in old age. I need something that will benefit me at death. And so they work as if they were bees collecting nectar.
이나야 나라주 싱거봐스. 배나 풍외기 정지 깔래 좀 정지 사사사사. 타마들이야 에네 미실래요네.
But in the end, we all have to die. It's like when the bees spend all their time gathering the nectar from flowers. Then in the end, what's going to happen is that some person is going to come and steal it all from them.
Oh yeah. 제자 가르쳐야 되지. 배 따바템바 센 탐제 미다베 따바템바스게요 막 그건 유언로처처럼.
So there's nothing stable and enduring in this life because everything's impermanent. There's nothing stable and enduring, and everything changes.
제장 아주 등지인데 셴바첨부 쳬베이나 동해 체로라 마도베기 요마르스.
And so if we cling to permanence and if we have strong attachment, then that's just going to increase our suffering.
바지 더 하지 정면으로 바지 내려 심자.
And so that's enough for now. That's basically how it is.
다디 이제야 로스 가사디 러브리 모는 수마제 디제야 그러면 주진리야 공개하듯이.
And so now we will recite the aspiration to the stages of the path, which is on page 341 of the English book, and then we will have 10 minutes of meditation.
Dema nigya sumju sodu sirum. Tep nigya sumju sodu.
Oh 다데 곰겨도 신 다 곰디들이 장래야 semten 곰겨나 섬수 다디 볼 섬으로 다디 가서를 표게 공세에서는 민도 다 다디게 장래된 semte 도시 맞지 다 고도면 나오면
So now we will do some meditation. And so I thought today we would meditate focusing on the sound of this singing bowl.
니 볼디 다들 개발도 개면 다 당이 센들 뢰 당고를 시시 다양한 데들이 야고도 다이네 개발도 디 가서 디 도지 파남 기 체마요 봐 도지 파남 지 소주산에 체마든데 러기 없다 되게 체마들 상으로 루스에지 쇠셔 버렸어 다양한 심바게 살아 도지 파남.
So I've been talking about giving up on this life, and here I have to go and explain this. So this singing bowl is made out of the dust of diamonds. When you cut diamonds, there's some dust that's left over. So this bowl is made out of that dust, and so now you're all getting attached to it.
다들 상으로 지가라 류네 상섬을 받아 제 류기네 바지 조조를 류네 상제 쇼고라다 아버님 샤치는 저것도 이야나 지 가르에 라바 내가 비묘가 샤는 저것도 개봤으면.
And so you should sit up straight. You should sit cross-legged, and with your hands, you can have them either in the mudra of equipoise in your lap, or you may put them on your knees. It doesn't matter.
신에게 자와지 류레스로와 셈레스로와 사치고르바 류레스로와 차사데 개심부지레시 디 레스로와 차발라 얘는 류네디도 개심부 있어 류디고라 남진지 녜대하다 저태대하로든데 맞아비시제 그런 류를 종다르체 셈라 종다르체 쟤네 아니 류디 지 소수기 강된되도 지기 토할 가서 류심니가디 미발베 강된되도 배지 가서 땅두바 되지 고요.
So when we do shamatha meditation, for shamatha, it's important first that it's said that if we have the posture properly, if our posture is workable, then our minds will be workable. So we have to make our body workable. And in order for our bodies to be workable, it's important for us to sit in good posture. So if you just lie down or slouch as we normally do, then that won't work. We need to have our body be able to do what we want it to do, so that our mind is able to do what we need to do. So we need to be able to have our minds flexible, or our bodies flexible enough so that they do what we want to do. So now please focus your attention on the sound. The sound will be continuous as I rub the edges of the bowl. So just focus your mind on the sound. And so today I will pretend to be an artist.
게 야고도 니게 야로 지금에 가시되고 다이나데 고주엔다 고주엔다 다디제랴 몰람자도시 까마 주 조로마제 빼갈라졌다 오 이가 봄버디서 나왔다
So now we have the aspiration. I'll recite the aspiration. 10 minutes is a really long time. My shoulders are aching.